Hello. I'm sitting out in the sun today on the solstice, listening to some videos, people I follow. I love that everybody is saying basically the same things of where we're at, especially as far as forerunners, first wavers. If you know you are in that group, I know I am. It's exciting. It's very exciting. I feel really good today. I got to tell you, I think about the last, well, pretty much since 2018 started and even before that. And I can't believe I'm still here. I really can't. I mean, not just, the times that I have wanted to leave, but just making it through without, yeah, it's just been amazing. It has been absolutely amazing. And so it's a great day. We already walked the dog, the kids and I. It's beautiful out today in southeast Colorado. High of 72, which is like my perfection temperature. But like I said, I love how everybody's saying the same stuff. I'm actually coming on to talk about a specific thing that I realized, because it refers to parenting, since that's what this page is about. My 18-year-old, he just turned 18 on Monday. Of my 4 kids, my 18-year-old is my biggest empath. I mean, and everybody's an empath, but as far as just not being able to deny it, you know what I mean? Like people, even if you know people who are asleep, yet they have these big hearts and they're so generous and they're so compassionate. And like I remember when he was 4, he was 3 or 4, and just super smart. I know everybody says that about their kids, right? Super smart. He was 3 or 4, and he has a god brother. His god brother is, they're the same age, obviously. They were baptized the same day. We were each other's godparents, and he has Down syndrome. And we don't see him a lot, but he knew, by 3 years old, he knew that his god brother was unique. He knew that he wasn't like him. And, we hadn't really sat him down and explained, exactly, because he was 3. And so at 3 years old, I happened to be watching something. I think it was the news. I don't watch the news anymore. And I don't recommend watching the news of any kind in front of little kids. But I was watching the news because that's what we did, right? That's what I grew up doing. And they did a story on Down syndrome. And so they were showing all these kids. And he says, that looks like my god brother. And I said, yes. I said, well, he was born, just like these kids. And when he realized, he asked me a few questions and I answered them honestly. And when he realized that his god brother may not have, and I say may not, of course, so many Down syndrome, special needs, whatever is politically correct today, so many of them have wonderful quality of life. And, and it just depends. But when he realized that his godbrother's quality of life may not be what his could be, he started crying. He looked at me and he said, I didn't want to know this. Like, it hurt his heart. And he was 3 years old. So I knew then, and the funny thing is that was almost exactly the same time that all that emotional IQ stuff started to come out, right? Oh, forget about the IQ. You want your children's emotional IQ to be high, which I absolutely agree with. I just think it goes back to that labeling everything, right? We all have emotional IQ, people. We're all empathic, people. We all love. We all have the capacity to love unconditionally. Why we have to, oh, well, that person has a high emotional IQ. That is ridiculous. We all have the same potential for emotion and for compassion. But anyway, so at the time I was like, oh, he has, my second child has a very high emotional IQ. And he has carried that through he has such a loving, of course, if he watches this, he's going to be embarrassed, but he has such a loving personality, and he's just got this natural, I don't even want to say tolerance, because tolerance, infers that there's some, that you're actually having to try, I think. When you're, oh, well, I'm tolerant of that. Well, that means that you're actually having to think about it and deliberate on it. There's no even deliberating for him. He loves everyone unconditionally and sees good in everyone. And we were talking the other day, and I am starting to try to share with him. It's tough with the teenager. For whatever reason, it's a lot easier for me to share all of this stuff going on in the universe and our bodies with my little two than it is with the older kids, right? Because they've already formed so much of their mindset. But he is coming around and he asks me questions, and the other day he's been sick. He's been sick off and on pretty much since school started. And I know why. He's suffering from Ascension symptoms. He basically has had the Ascension flu all this last week, but can't miss school because then he gets so behind. And that's another video entirely. I'm not going to bash public school. I absolutely love, my entire family is teachers, and I love teachers. I think teachers are amazing. I think teachers have been backed into a corner. But again, that's another video. The public school system is broken. There's way too much work that doesn't serve them. So he knows what he wants to do with his life. I don't know why he's got to take philosophy when he wants to be, major in music in college. But anyway, sorry, another video, Wendy. Stop it. I get a little heated about that topic. But anyway, so he's been sick, and I started talking to him about, I said, why you're feeling this way. And he right away, and I thought I was going to have to sit down and explain it, and he right away said, I know, I'm taking other people's energy. And I said, yeah. I said, you definitely are. I said, you're so compassionate and you want everybody to feel better. And so the minute he steps out of the house, and actually, of course, he does it every 24/7. He doesn't even have to leave the house. He's done it for me his whole life. And I've done it for him. We've basically been exchanging energy his whole life. But the minute he leaves the house, he starts to feel heavy and not good, and he gets a headache and he starts coughing and he just wants to go to bed. And then he starts to feel stressed because he has all these obligations for school, right? He's a senior this year, and it's so much commitment and so much work. Plus he does band and choir, and he's in the musical that they're doing this winter. So he's just got so much going on too, and so he can't fathom the thought of just going home and going to bed, when of course that's what he should do. He should listen to his body. But anyway, what I wanted to say, so then I said to him, you need to, if you want me to teach you how to set up boundaries, or I think I said, you need to just set up boundaries, just set an intention to have boundaries so that you do not take on other people's energies, you don't give your energy away, you don't merge with other people's energies. And he looked at me and he said, Mom, that's selfish. He said, what if me taking their energies will make them feel better? And I said, you can't do that anymore. I said, not only is that to your detriment, to increasing your suffering, but it's also prolonging theirs, because when you have stuff in your energy and somebody else tries to take it for you, eventually that's going to come back to you, and you have to deal with it yourself. You have to process it yourself. You cannot process somebody else's energy for them. You just cannot. And so when I said that, I think I planted the seed, but he didn't want to hear that. He wanted to know that at least his presence was making people feel better. And I got to tell you, this kid is basically the male version of me. I mean, he is me. He even looks like he got nothing of his father. Sorry, honey, I love you. But he got nothing of his father except maybe the big feet, the long fingers. He looks just like my dad, my brother, my side of the family, and boy is he me, because that has been my whole life. Is just I wanted everybody around me to feel good so bad that I didn't even realize what I was doing, but I was soaking in. I was they're dealing with a divorce. I'm going to take that just temporarily while we're together. I'm going to take that so they feel better. And I'm not kidding you. I have had people tell me my whole life that for whatever reason they just feel better when they're around me. And while that used to make me feel really good, at the same time I'd go, I don't know why, because I felt awful, right? Because I was taking all of their energy and it was making me feel terrible, and I didn't even know, didn't have any idea what I was doing. And so I'm like even kind of recently, I guess it was like 3 years ago now, when I first really started to awaken to all this stuff, to the truth, I was in New York for a women's symposium put on by one of my mentors in this life, Kathleen McGowan, who's an author and a writer, and she writes about strong women, and she's amazing. And I went to New York to meet her in the symposium, and I had such severe anxiety the whole weekend that we were doing, luckily it was all in one hotel. We stayed in the hotel and everything took place in the hotel. And we would have speakers, and between every speaker, I had to go to my room and just basically lay on my bed and cry. We'd get like a 15-minute break and I'd go to my room and just lay on my bed and cry. And I couldn't shake it. Like I didn't know, like I so wanted to just enjoy myself and absorb it all, because I was meeting this woman that I had revered for so long and loved for so long and had never met her. And I got to meet her and got to know her, and I am honored to say that we're friends still. And I got to go to France with her and everything. And so, but anyway, I felt awful because I was new to all this really strong divine feminine energy. And it was a group of, I think it was like maybe about 35 of us, 35 women, such strong women. And it was like I couldn't handle it. And so I'm talking to a lady and I'm trying to hold myself together, right? I learned my whole life to hide it very well when I had anxiety rising up. I just was able to put the mask on. And I'm talking to this lovely woman that I had met there. And she just looked at me and she said, I just love being near you because you make me feel so calm. And I thought, and I said to her, I think I even said to her, because I felt such a connection to these women, and she was one of the ones especially. And I said to her, I said, I can't imagine that because I am a wreck right now. So she goes, well, that's what you're doing. And she was one of the first ones to really kind of point it out that, well, of course, because you are emanating this love and this compassion and this, I want everybody to feel good. So you're taking in everybody's feel bads. And I was feeling like crap, but everybody around me felt great. And so, sure, that's an amazing gift. You're welcome. If you have been the recipient of my feel-good energy, you are most welcome. I don't regret 1 second of it. I am glad, however, that I have learned what was happening, what I was doing without consciously knowing it, and that I can now still emanate this love and compassion and make people feel better without soaking in their negative energy. That is possible, believe me, you can do it. And so I am going to be teaching my teenager how to do that, but I just wanted to share because these kids that are going to be, yes, we're paving the way, we're the pioneers, we're the forerunners, we're the first wavers, we're wading through the shit, but these kids that are growing up during this time on this planet, of course they chose it too, just like we did. These magical kids are just going to launch us into this new golden age, and I have no doubt whatsoever that my kids, my 18-year-old for sure is going to be at the front of this. I mean, just what an amazing big heart he has. And I'm not just bragging as a parent. I think so many kids now have this, and the ones that are bogged down with so many responsibilities as kids, it is distracting them a little bit. But even with everything he has going on, he was semi-aware that he was actually taking people's negative energy so they could feel better, and he was almost intentionally doing it because that's all he wants, is for everybody else to feel good. And that was me. I didn't know what I was doing until I was, much older than he is, until just a few years ago. But as a mom, I have to say that made me so proud. But at the same time, it's got absolutely nothing to do with me and how I've raised him. He was born with this compassion and this big heart and this mission. And his mission, I know, is going to include helping so many people with he just emanates love. And so if you have kids like this, if you know people like this, it's great that they want everybody to feel good, but we've got to, now is the time to be selfish. Now is the time to release all of our own stuff so that we can help other people without doing that, without soaking in their negative energy, without taking on their stuff, because that's not permanent. We can't take it on forever, and we can't process it for them. So it'll just sit in your energy until you can send it back to them, or it gets sent back to consciousness, with which, you know, usually then consciousness does what needs to be done, and it'll usually go back to the rightful owner. They eventually, you're not helping in the long term. You're not helping them, even though it feels like you are. You're hurting both yourself and them by doing that. And even though it shows compassion and such a loving big heart, it's if it's a detriment to you, then it's not the right thing to be doing. So I hope that makes sense. I am so babbling. I've been sitting in the sun for a while. I think it's time to go in. But it's so nice out here. So I just wanted to come on and talk about my amazing child, and how beautiful he is. All four of my kids are freaking amazing, and I'm so excited to see what they came here to do. And you know, I have a glimpse, I have a inkling, but it's going to grow and develop and evolve and change and twist and turn, and I'm really excited to see what their missions turn out to be. So, but definitely, you know, start talking to your kids, especially the teenagers. Especially the teenagers who have big hearts, who seem to be sick a lot. They're the ones who need this information right now. They need it so badly before and yes, it's purging too, but like I said, we're not in a purging part right now. We're not in a purging energy right now. The whole energy of the planet is integration right now. And so it's not a purging that's going on, although it will, you know, not a major purging. Of course, we're always purging. We're always releasing. But if they're holding on to everybody's energy, that is keeping them from releasing, you know, even their own, you know, in addition to piling other people's energies on top of their own stuff. And then their bodies are trying so hard to release it, their physical bodies, and they're getting sick. So talk to the teenagers, even if they're looking at you like you've lost your mind. If you know that they are starting to see this stuff, and they will quickly. They will very quickly, and I bet you they all are. They just haven't said anything yet, because what teenager wants to, you know, be the weird one in their group, right? But they need to know this information, that they need to take care of themselves first. It's time to be selfish. It's time to learn how to not put, I don't like to say put up boundaries, but to be sovereign in their energy. It is time for them to learn how to do that, to cherish and covet their energy. It doesn't belong to anybody else, and other people's energies should not be in their energy field. So we need to teach them that, and maybe I'll do a video on how to do that. If anybody is unsure of what to do, I can help. So just message me or comment on this video. But anyway, 17 minutes. Hang in there. Hopefully you made it to the end. I love you guys. That is my message for today. Bye.